Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are back. It's Wednesday, it's midweek, and it's me and Big Man. And Gianni is in an unfamiliar environment today. Big Man, I'm in a pub in the west of England without my mic, so I'm hoping the audio and the visuals and the Wi-Fi is good enough for you and everyone in the chat. Hey, team.
Hi guys, hi Gianni. Thanks for having me. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, it's been a rough week for both of us actually. Um, I'm coming on the back of 65 points, and Gianni is on 51. Having benched Phil Foden for double Liverpool attack, Darwin got a 0 pointer, Jota got 2 points, and
I can
I'm in a
laugh about
similar
it
state.
now.
I'm in a similar state of misery because I benched Foden for Saka. I guess Saka was the only one who I was considering benching, and I moved my captain from Watkins to Solanke a few hours before the deadline.
Wow, we had big swingy decisions there. Before we chat too much FPL, Mr. T says, "You're in Bristol, Gianni." Yeah, I'm actually in Tewkesbury on the way to Bristol. I've got about an hour of my journey left. CH says, "Pub chats with Gianni. G, the audio is better when it's closer to your mouth. Good to know. I'll speak like this." And our producer thought that behind me was a TV, and therefore we might get done for copyright infringement. This is an advert for TNT Sports with the live football shown here. If you watch those games, you can get friend of the channel, Jules Breach, presenting and reporting at those games, but it's not a TV. And Big Man, I've just ordered lunch because I'm like here on the Wi-Fi for a couple of hours, and the food came just before we went on air. And I ordered two of the British pub meals, right? Two absolute classics. So let's play a guessing game in the chat. What two British classic pub meals did I order? The reason I ordered two was it was buy one, get one free at lunchtime special on certain meals. So I went for the meals that included the deal. So I'm going to show you a picture of my meals, and I want to see what guesses come up in the chat. Big Man, would you have any guesses?
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips is one of the meals. I'm going to zoom in on my photo of one. So, okay, that was taken 20 minutes ago. So, yeah, fish and chips was one of them. What was the other? Bangers and mash, shepherd's pie, a pie, says CH. Okay, the other meal, roast lunch. No, okay, the other meal.
Mac and cheese?
No, it was indeed a pie, which I've not eaten yet. So both my meals came and they were like, is a guest joining you today, or are they both for you? Two massive pub meals. I've just ploughed through one and a half. I've only got the pie left. So yeah, I hope one is good.
I would have them by myself, no problem, Gianni. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't feel too conscious.
I've got a 3-hour drive. I need to stock up, and I probably won't have a proper dinner tonight either. Joe Buckley says not too far from him in Cheltenham. Yeah, I'll be driving past Cheltenham in an hour. I went to uni in Cheltenham, Joe, so I know the town very well. So yeah, hello everyone. What pie is cheese and onion with chips and gravy? I've had the chips and gravy. There we go. So look, let's address the decisions this week, shall we? Good to start the stream in style with a bit of loose chat, but we both, as Big Man said, had some big decisions to make. We both bench Foden. We'll talk a little bit about that, but not ponder around that too much. I'm looking forward with positivity at the moment. I'm not in the dark place I was on Monday night where I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, it was a rubbish one. What was your decision? Benching Foden, or was it Saka? Who were you thinking? Because you were pretty set on Foden. I know you were when we spoke on Wednesday, but who was the other player you were considering benching?
Realistically, it was going to be between him and Saka. I mean, I was never going to bench Palmer. I was never going to bench Palmer because he was a captaincy choice this week. I was never going to bench Gordon at home to Luton. Same with Richarlison. Solanke was my captain, so of course he was never going to get benched. Haaland and Watkins. So, I mean, again, it is what it is. I don't think I made a terribly bad decision. I mean, it was an okay decision. It was a 50-50 decision, which should have probably, even if it did sting, it should have probably stung by a few points. It wasn't a mistake that cost me by, double digits or something. It is what it is. It's just one of those things where variance goes against you. And same with captaincy. I mean, I was very, very certain that I was not going to captain Haaland this week because of his minutes. I was wrong there because he did end up playing 86 minutes, which, to my pleasant surprise, was more than what I expected. I was on Watkins all week, but then I shifted, and that's that sort of went against me. I don't necessarily think it was a wrong decision because I expected Solanke and Watkins to be very similar. In fact, Solanke was well ahead of Watkins when it came to the odds. So again, one of those things you nailed it when you told me that was it this week. It was a very, very swingy week. You had a lot of people who scored 100 plus. You had a lot of people who scored between 45 and 60 points, and it was just one of those horrible ones.
It's the worst week I can ever remember because I went from 45k to 145k. Like that's, I mean, you might say 100k is nothing. If you're at a million, it's not. But at my rank, 100k is 150% red arrow. Like it was disgraceful. And my decision was very different to yours. You were faced with Foden or Saka. You were pretty set on Foden midweek and you stuck with it. And as you said, the decision was kind of right for you. For me, it was a disgraceful decision. I can't hide from it. I was never going to bench Foden. It was only on the deadline stream I decided to. I also had a rush of blood and decided to sell Pascal Gross and buy Jota because the double game week was announced. And I was worried about price changes the week after when I would have been frozen out of that move. I was always going to bench Gross. And then by selling Gross, I was like, I can't bench Jota. Oh, it's between Darwin and Foden. Now, everyone has said to me, why the hell did you start Darwin? Like he was flagged. But my theory on it, which was completely wrong, was if he's flagged, he's either going to start or not play at all. I did not see a world in which Darwin cameoed off the bench. And look, even with the Darwin start, away at Arsenal, we know how good they are. I thought Liverpool were going to win that football match. I even benched Gabriel. He ended up coming off the bench for me, and I didn't know if Taylor would play. But I really did back Liverpool in that game. And actually, Liverpool were the worst performance of the season by them. And Arsenal were really, really good. Yeah. So, yeah, lesson learned. What makes it even harder for me is no one loves Foden more than me, and everyone knows I've been banging the Foden drum for months. Fortunately, I had loads of lovely messages by people saying I only own Phil Foden because of Gianni, because every YouTube video I watch, he talks about him. So at least I've got some points. But unfortunately, I missed out on his biggest 20-pointer. I don't think he's ever achieved more FPL points, Phil Foden, and I've owned him a lot. So it was annoying, but look forward, and I'm well set now. That triple City attack, I think there's a lot of managers that won't get De Bruyne. Big Man, you might be one of them. They won't be able to get De Bruyne, but triple City attack, I think, looks really nice for the next few.
It does. I guess it does, because when you look at all those three picks in isolation, I think Haaland is going to be in everyone's team. I think a lot of people have Foden as well. De Bruyne is kind of like a differential for you as well, but he comes at a cost. So, for example, if you have De Bruyne, you won't be able to, go to someone like a Trent, I assume, or someone else in your team, because that's the extra saving that not getting someone like a De Bruyne allows. And personally, with my team, I'm not interested in getting De Bruyne either, because I think that getting Jota and or Trent and or Walker is probably better than getting De Bruyne, because I just like that combo more. De Bruyne is the kind of guy who will continue to take along with the assists, but I'm not exactly confident still that he'll play both games in the double game week, and I will take my chances not owning him. So I'm not exactly considering him either for my team. I think I have massive decisions to make with my own team, considering which Liverpool to get, because I don't have Darwin or Jota, and I'm looking to get one of them at least in the next 2 weeks, probably one.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure who to go for. But I don't think I'll end up getting De Bruyne. I think if it comes to City, I'll likely end up getting Walker or Guardiola.
I look forward to seeing your team later. I think we need to discuss Trent too. What are Big Man? I've not even looked. What are our three big questions today? We'll preview it now, so everyone knows what big three questions we're going to be answering in the next half an hour or so. What are they? Hit us with them.
I think the first question is the big one, as to who goes if we're buying Darwin. Now, I think you've already sort of made the decision now that you own Darwin, but for someone like myself, or a lot of other people there are actually people who've sold Darwin already this week before the news of the double came in, because the news came on Saturday and a lot of people moved on Friday night due to the changes, price changes, and are now looking at buying Darwin straight back in. The first question is, do you go for someone like a Darwin or you go for someone like a Toney? I personally prefer Darwin over Toney, even if it requires an extra transfer down the line later, because the next three fixtures for Liverpool are head and shoulders above those for Brentford. When you look at the fixtures, Liverpool are playing Burnley this week. Then in the double, they're playing Brentford and Luton. When you compare that with Brentford are playing Wolves this week, and then they're playing Liverpool and City in the double. I do think that Darwin outscores Toney by 4 or more points and will probably justify an extra transfer down the line to Toney later if required. I don't think you buy someone like a Toney this week when the option of Darwin is available.
I think I'm with you. Like Toney does feel fixture proof. Toney's clearly like a great FPL asset, but you just can't see past those Darwin fixtures. So I would look. I think whether you buy Darwin or not, a lot of that decision will come down to how many Liverpool you think are necessary, and if you're going Jota. So there's some out there that will say triple Liverpool actually isn't for them because they're going to struggle in 26 if they commit to triple Liverpool and they've already got double Spurs, and they've already got a Chelsea or two, and they might have a Luton player. For me, I look at it and go, I would love triple Liverpool, but the players I really want, well, I own Darwin, I own Jota. The player I really want outside of that would be Trent. I can kind of discard him, unfortunately, with regret, because he's just not a player I can reach without completely ripping up my team. So it's quite an easy decision for me just to go double Liverpool. I then can commit to, if I want to, a Luton player, knowing I can, if I don't have triple Liverpool, in the 26, I've got less of a headache because there'll be loads that get to 26, as we've mentioned, some of those teams where you've got to sell, you'll only sell 2 players that week maybe, and you've got 6, 7 blanking. Whether it's a Darwin in conversation for Solanke or Watkins, or whether it's a Darwin in alongside Jota is another one. So let's just address those two. I guess my thoughts on Darwin in for Solanke or Watkins would be, I'd be very reluctant to sell Watkins at any cost off the back of what we saw at the weekend and the fixtures. I think we'll know more off the back of tonight's game, whether or not they blank in 29. But let's not worry about 29 just yet. Do you like Ollie Watkins' fixtures up to 28? The answer is probably yes. Now, sure, Solanke could double in 28. If he does, we can bring him back in 27, where he's also got a good fixture. But for the next few, Solanke's got some tricky games. I would happily sell Solanke for Darwin. I wouldn't sell Watkins for Darwin. And I'd probably sell neither for Toney.
Yeah. So I want to add a bit more context here with regards to the selling Solanke or Watkins conversation. I don't think it's as clear cut as a lot of people make it out to be. I think it's in isolation. When you look at it, it's very clear cut that, you know, you look at their fixtures. Watkins has better fixtures. Solanke is playing Newcastle away next week. Then he's playing City at home in 26 as well. So those fixtures aren't great. And of course, you'd back Ollie Watkins to score Tom Solanke by a fair few points in that period. However, the thing is that there's 2 or 2.5 million that's at stake here. And that's the saving that you allow yourself if you sell someone like a Watkins over Solanke. So I'll just raise an argument for selling Watkins over Solanke. The argument for selling Watkins is that A, you can get that saving and you can use it to upgrade someone like a Gordon to Jota, for example, in my team, and for others, for example, someone like a Stupinan to Trent, which is significant.
Yeah, true.
The second argument is that I don't think that captaincy will be in the conversation at any point in given time in the future, and because of that, the value of Watkins isn't as high, because, you know, in recent weeks we've had weeks where we've had to captain different kind of players in the absence of Haaland, but now that Haaland is back, we won't be looking at anyone else. The third reason is that there's a good chance that Solanke might end up doubling in
28.
maybe 28.
Yeah.
In 28, exactly. And according to most fixture experts that I've spoken to, Ben and Talha, they think that there's around a 60 to 65% chance of that happening. If that is the case,
it's a great
then
double. Luton and Sheffield United, isn't it?
That is borderline triple captain territory if it gets announced before 25. I think a lot of people might actually go for Solanke if the double is announced before 25.
Really? Over a Haaland double at home to Chelsea and, is it Brentford?
If it gets announced, why not? I mean, I do think there will be a certain split in the community. I mean, I'm not saying I will do it, but I think it is possible. Sheffield United at home and Luton at home are as good as it gets, right?
They are.
Okay. And the fourth argument that I have is that, you know, if Villa are blanking in 29, that is contingent on Villa winning tonight, which is the likely outcome according to the odds.
Yeah, that's favourites.
Exactly. If they're favorites. So if Villa win, then they're blanking in 29. So you could basically make an argument that, You can sell Watkins to Darwin this week. Then in 26, when Darwin is blanking, you can get Toney back in. And because Toney is playing in 29, you can just keep Toney for that run from 26 to 29, ignoring Watkins all throughout because he was blank in 29. That's the argument for selling Watkins.
Yeah.
Now I'll come to the argument for selling Solanke, right? Which you were putting forward. I mean, the main reason
Number
for
one,
it is
he's
that
not as good.
exactly, he's not as good. Will are a better team, and mainly Watkins is likely to score more points. Now, the thing you have to sort of figure out in your head is whether or not the upgrades that selling Watkins for Darwin allows is better than making that transfer in isolation. But the thing, Gianni, is that assume that Villa lose tonight. If Villa lose tonight, then I think whichever one of Watkins or Solanke you sell for
You're
Darwin,
holding.
you end up reversing it in 26.
Oh, yeah. You're going to want him.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say you sell Watkins right now, you'll want him back in 26 if Villa have a fixture in 29. And let's say if you're selling Solanke right now for Darwin, you're going to reverse the transfer in 26 because it's very likely that Bournemouth are going to have a double in 28.
And even if they don't double, the Bournemouth fixtures are pretty good. So even if Bournemouth don't double, you're like, oh, they've still got Brentford, they've still got Burnley, like they've still got good games.
Exactly. So I don't think this decision is as clear cut and as black and white as a lot of people are making it out to be.
It's more clear cut if selling Watkins enables you to do something drastic with your team as an improvement. If it's like for like and Watkins and Solanke the same price, clearly we're all saying you would sell Solanke. It's as Bigman said, can you upgrade a Jota to a Gordon to a Jota? Can you, with those funds, upgrade a Stupinian to Trent? Well, you would need a bit in the bank to do that. And unfortunately, if you're like me, who had 0.0 in the bank to make that move, I thought if I sell Watkins to Haaland, not Solanke to Haaland, which is the move I've done already this game week, I can then maybe upgrade a Stupinian to Trent because that's the guy I really want, right? But if you've got no money in the bank, that's not a big enough difference between, say, Solanke and Watkins. But for some who might have $1 million or $2 million in the bank, that's all you need. So if it enables you to have a massive upgrade elsewhere, like Gordon to Jota, Stupinian to Trent, then I absolutely hear you, big man. And Watkins should be considered strongly. In the chat, we did ask, who would you sell in place for Solanke, Watkins? Who would you buy, like Darwin or Toney? Everyone wants Darwin. Let's do another poll. If you're buying Darwin, who'd you sell, Solanke or Watkins? Let's see where everyone else feels in the chat. I think
the significant majority of people will sell Solanke. I guess recency bias will play a part as well because, there's one guy who got a 2-pointer, the other guy got 18-pointer.
Assume he doubles in 28 when you vote in the poll, guys. As Big Man said, he's spoken to the fixture experts. The likes of Ben Crellin think it's more than half, more than 50% likely, 60% likely. So when answering, assume that you'll have to go into a 28 double with Solanke. So that might be selling him, buying him back.
I think the more pertinent thing here is not the Bournemouth double, because even if Bournemouth double and you sell Solanke, you can buy him back in 26 because Darwin out in 26 is going to happen for a lot of teams.
True.
26 or 27, right? Yeah. So even if the Bournemouth double gets announced, it's not the end of the world, right? Yeah. I think the more pertinent question here is that if Villa are blanking in 29, then there's a case of ignoring Watkins altogether.
You think? I don't think so. I think you just go to 29 and then you sell Watkins if you need to. If you're dead ending, you're selling a load of players. Watkins is just another player you have to sell. But before 29, Watkins has got good fixtures.
See, that's why I'm reluctant to make that transfer this week, personally, right? But I do see an argument for it.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to avoid free hitting in 29. And obviously, the less blankers you have, the more convenient it is for you to avoid the free hit, in which case it would make the idea of selling Watkins more palatable.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And you're right, it will be split. For me, I don't think I actually care that much about the result tonight. Like, it would be, I mean, I do as a Chelsea fan, but I think Watkins is a hold to 28 regardless. But yeah, let's see. Not often we agree, Gianni. Thanks, I'm 1974. We never agree, but you do watch every show, so I'm glad you like hearing the difference of opinion for 3 hours a week. But thanks, mate. Good to know. Next question. We're going to talk about City and Liverpool assets to own in 25, but CH will rightly pull us. This is more than just a City and Liverpool stream because I think it was one show last week. Dean and I spoke for Man City for about 45 minutes. But we're also going to talk about captaincy this game week, and we're going to talk about defenders because Estupiñán and Porro, are they keep or sell, and what about Trent too? So let's go first to the defender questions, and then we'll talk City and Liverpool. So we've spoken about forwards. What about defenders? If you own Estupiñán, I'd be interested to know: are you holding or selling? Same question with Porro.
The floor is all yours. You own him.
I mean, I've made 2 transfers this week. The team already, I took a 4-point hit on Monday night, and it was knowing that Estupiñán probably ain't going to start this game week. So did I sell Estupiñán? No, because I think he could work his way back into the 11 and will be a good asset. He also has a fixture in 26 where he might play. I also had another dead spot, a greater dead spot than Lascelles than Estupiñán in Lascelles. So I've held Estupiñán, but am I starting him this weekend knowing he'll probably get a 10-minute cameo? No, I'm starting a Luton defender that isn't Doherty, who I would absolutely love, but selling Lascelles, I had 3.9 to spend. I needed the extra 0.1 to go Solanke to Haaland. And Luton defence, I think, could keep a clean sheet this weekend. So I'm starting Bell at home to Sheffield United.
You've made the transfer.
Done it.
Oh my goodness.
Done it. I needed to, on Monday night after City played, I needed to, there was a fear that Solanke was dropping in price, and I would have been completely priced out of Haaland. I was already 0.1 short of Haaland, Solanke to Haaland, but I knew I had Lascelles at 4, and I knew there was good 3.9 defenders. There's no good 3.8 defenders I wanted, so I simply couldn't wait another night. Solanke didn't end up dropping in the end, but I'm glad I made the move. It was a planned move always to get Haaland this week anyway, and I knew I only had 2 defenders starting and need to take a 4-point hit to get a 3rd defender that starts. So yeah, I've gone Bell.
So it was a hit for Haaland, basically.
It's a hit for Haaland, and Bell enabled that. But he comes straight into the 11 because I don't trust Estupiñán to start. And if I didn't have other fires, I'd probably be selling Estupiñán.
Who went?
Lascelles.
Which defender? Lascelles. All right. Yeah. That was an easy transfer then.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Estupiñán, I think the best course of action is to probably hold and bench him like you're doing this week, because Brighton's fixtures are still good. They're still playing Sheffield United next week and then Everton in the next 2 weeks. The fixtures are nice. But again, I'm not confident whether or not he'll start because he's been starting in recent times. But this week, Brighton, on the back of a poor performance, won 4-1. Igor started as the left centre back, and the left wing back was Lamptey. Now, these are the 2 positions where Estupiñán plays in, and he didn't play this week.
Yeah.
So I think that Estupiñán is probably best worth benching if you're going to afford to bench this week. And if you don't have any other playable defender, then I would sell him if you're in that position. I think there are a lot of other defenders we need to talk about as well. I think there's Konza. A lot of people have Konza. Konza is injured, and there are reports that he's out for 4 weeks, which is very unfortunate because he got taken off right before the 60-minute mark, and now he's likely going to miss that Moneyball fixture against Burnley in game week 26 as well, which a lot of people bought him for. So I think if you have Konza, you probably sell. I think Alfie Doughty is someone I would consider in that price range. I really like the look of him, to be very honest. I mean, he's attacking. We've seen time and again. I know it's Luton, but a Luton defender ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Firstly, you get them in for the very tempting Sheffield United home fixture, which is this week. Then they play in game week 25, 26. Game week 25, they have a double. Sorry, they do blank in 26, but they are likely to have a fixture in 29, and then on top of that, they're also likely to have a double in 28 now as well, which further sort of solidifies their appeal. So I like the appeal of Doughty, and I think if you have Konza, then going there makes sense. With Walker, I think with Porro, I think you can sort of sell him for someone like a Walker or Guardiol, maybe next week or this week if you have the opportunity. I don't necessarily mind that transfer, because what you're essentially doing is that you're removing a blanker for game week 26 and you're adding a doubler in 25. So you're winning there in terms of fixtures. So I kind of like the idea.
Porro is definitely out of form. There's no doubt about it. He is still on set pieces with Maddison back in, so worth noting that. Super chat is coming from Emre. Guys, thank you so much for all your likes and subscribes today as well. Do hit that like button if you're new around here and subscribe to the channel. But Emre says, already have 3 City attackers for the double. Just like me. I now want to get Jota, Toney, Doherty for the double as well and be better prepared for later blanks. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, what I would say, if you're targeting certainly Liverpool, Man City and Luton players for the double, don't get to game week 25 and start taking hits to bring them in. Take the hits now. Take the hits in 24, because City in 24 have Everton at home, Liverpool in 24 have Burnley at home, and Luton in 24 Sheffield United at home. Those three teams that all double in 25 have amazing 24 fixtures. So think ahead and commit to those hits now if you're big on those players. Toney a little bit different. He's got an okay fixture away at Wolves. And then a tough double. Maybe you could hold the Toney move, but definitely I would go Doughty and Jota this weekend, Ray. Good question. Yeah.
Emery, I'd like to say that I'm not a huge fan of taking hits personally, and a lot of these transfers that you're suggesting, they depend on whatever team you have. So I'm not sure. I mean, I like the players that you're buying this week, but I'm not sure about the players you're selling. So I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to sell certain players that might be in your team right now and take hits for it. So you sort of have to look at your team and see what the best course of action is for you to navigate 25 and 26, and striking a balance between the number of the number of doublers that you have in 25, which I assume you already do with three City, and then also making sure that you find a way to navigate game week 26.
Yeah. You'll take a hit this week, though, big man, won't you? I think you will.
I'm not sure. I don't think I will this week, to be very honest. But I think a hit is incoming in the next few weeks. I don't think I'll be able to avoid a hit. It's almost as if it's unavoidable now. But this week I'm not necessarily in a position where I have to take a hit.
Okay, interesting. Porro's a player I've got just to touch on. I don't know if I'll be holding or not. I'm going to give him another week just to check him out. If I could go Porro to someone like a Van Dijk, if they cost the same money, that would be an easy transfer for me. The problem with Liverpool defence is, let's say it's Trent, Van Dijk, Konate and Robbo. Konate will be suspended, but he'll be back in for the double. Only Konate falls in the bracket of affordable for Porro sellers unless you've got funds in the bank. And Konate is the sort of player that comes in one week and gets rested the next or rotated.
Yeah, Konate is very dodgy. I don't think he's an option,
Can't
to
go
be
there.
very honest.
So
no, with Konsa around as well.
Exactly. I want Bradley to start this weekend, and I could maybe bring Bradley in for the double. But I need to see Bradley and Trent playing together to even think about committing to that. What do you think about Trent, big man? Do you own him? And if you didn't, would you buy? Because I don't. And look, Trent's scary. He's the best defender in the game. But I'm still fine not owning him. For many, it will be De Bruyne or Trent. You can't have both. That's the extra luxury if you're on a Watkins, a Saka, a Haaland, and you want players like Jota and Darwin around. You're probably not having De Bruyne and Trent. I think I prefer De Bruyne.
I think I prefer Trent, to be very honest. I think I'm fine as a owner. I'm not overly concerned about the fact that he played just 58 minutes. He hasn't really been fit in recent times, and I assume now that he'll have a week of training with Liverpool not having a fixture at all. Then he should be good to go for Burnley. I'd be absolutely shocked if he didn't play the Burnley fixture. And the best fixture to own him is right now. And I think he could even outscore what he scores in the double this week, because I'm not entirely sure whether he's going to play that Luton game, which is just 3 or 4 days before the EFL Cup final. I think I would definitely have plans to buy him if I was a non-owner, personally. But obviously, I guess in your position, it's sort of not in your hands unless you commit to major surgery, which is just not worth it. Yeah. But as a non-owner, for most people, I think going there makes a lot of sense, going for Trent. Because even if Bradley does miss a fixture, Trent is just a good buy for the next 3-4 game weeks itself. Till game week 27, he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, true say. There's no doubt in it. And I'm slightly worried about going without Trent.
I think the only alternative I would consider that is Van Dijk in terms of minutes. He's safe to start.
Though. He's not as cheap. He's still 6 million plus. It's
he is.
If you can afford Van Dijk, you can probably find enough for Trent. Maybe not. There's a big difference. Or Robbo,
I mean, the thing is, with the difference between Van Dijk and Trent, if you think that difference is big enough to justify going for Van Dijk, then sure, go for it. I don't think it's as clear-cut right now buying Trent, to be very honest. I think if I was buying one, it would be between Van Dijk and Trent, and I'm not sure which way I'd go. It would depend on what the extra upgrades would allow. But
I know you're all shouting
if I was to pick one,
how much are they? Van Dijk is 6.3, Robbo 6.4, Trent is 8.5. Wow.
Exactly, that's quite a lot. So yeah, I would still prefer Trent in isolation, but it is close. It's not as clear cut as a lot of people are making it out to be.
Yeah, and I hear that. Guys, thank you so much for all your questions. We will address a couple when we can. Do hit that like button. Nearly 300 of you are watching. Me and Big Man do these streams every Wednesday. Thank you for your support as always. Make sure you hit that like button.
Much appreciated.
Can we get to 100? Can we get to 200? I don't know. Hit the likes and we'll see where we land. City and Liverpool. Top threes from each team are pretty obvious. Like we're all going to say, okay, maybe the fourth at City is debatable. It's Walker or De Bruyne alongside Foden and Haaland, and it's Jota, Darwin and Trent. And then Van Dijk's in the mix if you can't afford. But I guess the big question isn't which ones, it's who do you prioritise across the board. So if we let's try and rank, Big Man, our top 5 between each team. So merging in both teams. So for example, you could have a Liverpool player at 1 and a Man City player at 2, because I think most are going to land on 5. Let's give our top 5s.
It's tricky. Why don't you go first?
I think I've got it right. So I'm going to go Haaland at 1.
Haaland is obvious, right? Forget Haaland. Go with the rest.
I'm going Haaland at 1.
I think a lot of people have Foden as well, to be very honest.
I think I'm going to say Foden at 2, and then I'm going to say Jota and Darwin at 3 and 4. Probably in that order.
Jota 3.
Darwin 4. And then I'm going to say De Bruyne 5. I have included no defenders in that top 5. And I think I'm all right with that. 1, because the defenders we want from those clubs, certainly Liverpool, are expensive. 2, clean sheets haven't been a guarantee for either team. And 3, we're all playing with back threes anyway. And I think over that period, there's other good defenders.
I think I would definitely prefer the City duo over the rest, because City are playing in 26 as well, right? So there's that factor in as well. Exactly. I still think I prefer the third City player to be a defender, simply because I like that structure much more.
Walker.
I think there's a case for Guardiola as well, to be very honest. He started playing recently, and Guardiola is 4.8 and Walker's for 5.5. So it is quite a saving. It's not exactly a like-for-like comparison. I think, again, like I say every week, the best time for picking the City players is right before game week 25. So I think if you're in a position where you can sort of let go of the City defender this week, just let it go and buy one next week, or just buy one next week. So when it comes to
90 in his last 4, Guardiola, 90, 90, 90, 90. Good going.
I think the next person I would look at for Liverpool, I think I prefer Darwin over Jota. I still think I think Trent is second in that priority order. Darwin and Trent are similar-ish in my opinion. I don't think there's much between them. I think Jota is slightly behind both, and I'm not really sure about the rest. I mean, Diaz could be an option, but I'm not really sure whether he's going to start both games. To be honest, the same is the case with Jota, but I guess if Salah is out for a while, then it increases the likelihood of Jota getting minutes.
Yeah, I don't know where I feel about Darwin and Jota in terms of order. Like, I'm glad I own them both, and I'm glad I don't have the headache over which one to bring in, because so many are going to be presented with that headache this week. What I would say is, if I didn't own either and I was buying one, I would feel it way easier to accommodate Jota, knowing midfield spots are probably, there's 1 or 2 that might be up for grabs, and we have 5 of them. The striker spots are so tight, like you're selling a Solanke or a Watkins to get a Darwin. That I'd struggle with. If I could sell a Gordon to get a Jota, I'd say I'm just going to have to settle on Jota, and that's my mind made up. Obviously, you guys know I love Darwin. We'll talk about captaincy too. Like, if we go into a double game week and we're probably going to be captain a Man City player. But game week 24, Liverpool play Burnley, City play Everton. I'm not convinced I'm going to captain Haaland this game week, big man. Let's do the captaincy chat.
Yeah, just a second. Before we come to that, I'd also like to address that Darwin is nearly 7 million, 7.3, 7.4. Jota is 8.1. So selling someone in that midfielder price bracket isn't exactly convenient for a lot of people. I guess it is for those who have Bowen. But I don't think a lot of people who own Gordon can get to Jota in one move. It requires 2 million, right? But if you have someone like a Bowen, it's much easier. I don't think anyone would be looking to sell Richarlison or Saka or Foden, obviously. So it is in that tricky price bracket.
Yeah, okay, I hear you there. I hear you. Although you're right, you've got to find 2 million to upgrade Gordon to Jota. But I think this is a week everyone's taking 4-point hits. Or most
You
are.
think so?
So
I think Darwin. Another thing I like about Darwin is that is easy to sort of get to when you look at Solanke's price and Watkins' price, and I think there's still a chance that he's on penalties. Whether or not he scores
do
them
you?
is
Yeah.
is is still up for debate. But I think he's still on penalties in Salah's absence. I think he's sort of above everyone else in the pecking order in Liverpool in the attack, barring Salah.
Is Douglas Luiz injured? Did he go off injured? I think he did. Could Watkins be on pens? I don't know if Douglas Luiz doesn't play, is Watkins on pens? I guess he is.
I'm not sure. I think
I
John
guess he
McGinn
is.
could take one.
Maybe. I think Watkins gets it though. I don't know. Let's see. I'm sure Douglas Luiz is probably fine. Do check that out. We'll know more on Friday, guys.
On tonight.
Oh, tonight, of course.
Yeah.
Captaincy, big man. Key
Haaland.
candidates this week are a City player or a Liverpool player. Are you
Yeah, I think Haaland and Darwin are the
are you
ones.
set that Haaland gets 90, knowing Champions League is a couple of days away and he played 86 minutes the other day? I'm not 100. I'm not sure.
I think even if he gets taken off early, I would back City to have done the bulk of the damage, because if
He only
they
gets
haven't
subbed
done the
if I win.
bulk of the damage, exactly. If City haven't done the bulk of the damage, then he won't get subbed early, given that he's already
Okay.
played 85 minutes. So fitness isn't a problem. Yeah, I mean, we're back to the days where we're perma captaining Haaland. I think for captaincy, for not just game week 24, for game week 25, 26 as well, a lot of us will
Yes.
end up just defaulting back to Haaland
I
because
will, but I'm
we're
not
back
sure I
to the
will
good
this
old
week.
days.
I'm not sure I will
This
this
week,
week, though, mate. Like, I'm not sure that's a get. Everton have
this
got
week
two
is
clean
slightly
sheets
trickier.
in the
To be
last
very
three.
honest, this week is slightly trickier. Are you considering Darwin? I think.
Yeah, and Jota, to be fair. Like, who's got the bigger ceiling fixture? Without doubt, Liverpool. Darwin's had a little rest. Burnley are on the ropes. Everton have kept 2 clean sheets in 3, whilst Burnley concede 2+ a game every game. I know it's at the Etihad, but knowing Haaland's looking a bit rusty and knowing the Champions League is a few days away after that, and he'll definitely start against Copenhagen, I wonder. I mean, look, we'll know. We'll get a leak if he's starting or not. I wouldn't be surprised to see honestly, if Haaland was benched, I don't think he will be. I think he starts, but I would not be surprised to see a Haaland benching.
I don't see a world where he gets benched. There's a week of rest for Man City, dude. After Monday, there's no chance he's gonna get benched on Saturday. I'd be shocked if that happened.
I wouldn't be shocked. I do think he'll. I just want to go on record and say I do think he'll start. I don't think he gets 90, but that's another question. He doesn't have to get 90 to be the best captain of the week.
I do think it's close between him and Darwin, though. I
Not
simply,
Jota.
and Jota. I think Jota, Darwin are more or less similar-ish this week. I would probably prefer Darwin simply because of the security of penalties, which I think he will take, and because I think he's slightly better for minutes as well. I might be
Yeah,
wrong here, but
knowing he had a
that's
little
what I
rest.
think. Yeah, but yeah, I would definitely go Haaland over both personally. I think owning Darwin is going to be enough. I mean, I don't want to put myself through the experience of captaining him.
It was horrible watching. I didn't watch the game. As soon as I knew Haaland was starting and I benched Foden, I was not watching Man City. Right, I was on a train.
I didn't watch him either.
Not look at my phone.
I had Haaland, yet I didn't watch
owned
it.
but didn't captain, and it was still a horrible experience, right?
Exactly.
So the idea, I don't want to go through that again. Hence, I brought him in on Monday night, straight after the game. All I needed to see him was not him limp off, and he was coming into my team. Jota captain this week, says Andrew. Maybe we'll do a quick fire poll for captaincy. Jota, Darwin, Haaland, Richarlison. That's all.
There's 333 of you watching right now. Please kindly like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Listen to the big man. Thank you, mate. Mike keeps touching collar. Thank you, Gucci. Appreciate that. I do need to be told it's the mic inbuilt on headphones, so I'm very conscious. Teams. Let's have a look at them, shall we? Big man, Gianni. I don't know if I sent the producer my team post or pre-transfers. So I don't know if this is going to show my actual team or my team before. Oh, good. We're doing yours first. Here we go. Talk us through it, big man.
I think I have a lot of options this week, if I'm being totally honest. I have one free transfer and I have 1.5 million in the bank. Now I can do anything from saving a transfer to getting Darwin. And because as mentioned earlier, I do think that Darwin is probably the only person I would use my free transfer on this week if I was to spend it. Watkins to Darwin is possible and is an option, let's say, if Villa win tonight, because it would then allow more upgrades elsewhere. For example, I can get Jota next week. Solanke to Darwin I can afford and is easier, but that would rule me out of Jota next week. And in that case, I would probably look at getting someone like a Walker for Porro next week. And the third option is that I can roll the transfer and then decide which Liverpool, which City to bring in next week with more
Ooh,
information. Let's say if
that
Luis
would be
Diaz is to
chill.
become, let's say if Luis Diaz is to become an option, then that could happen. Let's say if I want to buy Jota, I can do that for Richarlison next week. I mean, it sort of opens up more options. But again, I'm quite aware of the fact that Darwin, in my opinion, is likely to go big this week, and I don't want to be in a position where I don't own him. So I think I would probably succumb um, to the FOMO of not owning him. I, to be very honest, I think I will go for him. Who I sell, I'm not entirely sure about. But yeah, let's see closer to the deadline.
So
But
you think
this
it'll be
matchup,
Darwin in for Solanke or Watkins will be your one move likely?
absolutely. And if not, then it's going to be roll the transfer. And Saliba versus Porro is also a coin toss this week. I don't think it's that clear cut because I am pretty sure that Brighton will score this week. Now, whether or not I trust Saliba enough to keep a clean sheet as well is it's still up in the air. I checked the odds. Both Porro and Saliba are more or less projected to score very, very similarly. So again, I think it's going to be a gut call in which I end up deciding before the deadline.
When you move your head, G, the mic bounces off your collar towards the table. Maybe unbuttoning your shirt. CH, this isn't that type of stream. I don't even know.
He is on the wrong channel.
Yeah. We'll have to do a late night version of Chasing Big Harry.
That kind of stream isn't allowed on YouTube.
Yeah, that's behind a paywall. That's check my OnlyFans, CH, or just see my Insta for free. Okay, by not going Jota this week, you're not giving yourself a benching headache. Like if you did find the money to go Gordon to Jota, you'd be benching Palmer, I guess. Would he be the guy that you benched out of all these attackers if you were to bring one in? Because I'm faced with possibly benching Palmer, which I'm not happy about, and I'm worried that there's another big haul on my bench.
Yeah. It's. I was going to come to that. I think it's a very good question, G. Firstly, I can't afford Gordon to Jota this week, right? First things first. But let's say if I could, even then, it's not exactly something I'm comfortable with because A, it would mean benching Palmer. B, I can't get to Jota without a hit, without selling Watkins too. So I'll have to sell Watkins as well, which is something I'm not entirely comfortable with. Selling Watkins, benching Palmer, bringing Jota in for this week, but then having to sell him later and taking the hit this week. So there are a lot of cons for me to buy Jota this week. So I don't think I'll be taking a hit to buy Jota now. I think even if I get him, it'll be next week, and that too if I end up selling Watkins this week or end up rolling the transfer.
Okay.
So Jota, I'm almost certain that I won't own Jota this week.
There's been a lot of talk about goalkeepers. Kaminsky is the one people are talking about. If you've got Areola Dubravka, do you consider buying the Luton goalkeeper? Again, good fixture in 24, doubles in 25. It doesn't matter about ranking 26 because you've got Areola or Dubravka to come in and play that week.
I just think there are better transfers to make than using one on a keeper this week, especially because game week 29 for Luton isn't confirmed at the minute, right? So, I mean, I know goalkeepers tend to do well in double game weeks, but if I was looking at one, it would not be Kaminsky. I would just spend the premium on Ederson or Alisson, one of those two.
Good to know. Thanks for giving us that.
G, what would you do in my position? Actually, very curious to hear your thoughts because you haven't shared your particular thoughts on my team yet.
Solanke out, Darwin in would be definite. And then I would wait a week. I would potentially then next week be selling Richarlison to Jota. But you can wait and you can see what you want to do. Solanke out, Darwin in. I think
that's not affordable. That's not affordable. Yeah, I can't do both.
No, but okay, but you can't do Richarlison to Jota. So if you want Jota next week, and you want
basically have to sell
Darwin double, you have to sell Watkins.
Basically,
mate, you're gonna want that double. You're gonna want that double.
See, that's the thing.
So does Watkins go this week or next? Is the question. And I don't know. Man United at home is a good fixture for Villa. But Darwin at home to Burnley could be massive, and I know he had he's flagged. Darwin was fit. He was fit enough to get half an hour off the bench. I think it was tactical. I think Gakpo played because it was Arsenal. I think Darwin's absolutely fine and he's had a little rest. So Watkins out, Darwin in, I guess I'd do, mate. Sorry. You don't want to hear that, though, because that's a horrible move. Selling Watkins this week is horrible.
Basically, you want to prioritize Jota, irrespective of what happens.
Is there a world in which you get money out of a defender and convert Gordon to Jota?
It's sort of easy to say to sell Watkins, which is fine, but then to have to sell Richarlison next week as well.
No, I've got it, mate. I've got it. You sell Pedro Porro to Doughty, right? And then you sell Gordon to Jota.
Pedro Porro to Doughty, and then you sell
Gordon to Jota. And you don't buy Darwin. Then you're selling players that you're happy selling. Yeah, you're not buying the number one target, but I always think with FPL, I'm always happier selling players and selling players I don't want for someone that I want but don't absolutely love than selling a good player for my number one target. I think I often veer on the former rather than the latter, which would be Pedro Porro out or whoever out, but Doughty saves you $1 million, and then Gordon up to Jota. I think that gives you enough money. Yeah,
it gives me exact cash, and I'm not sure whether that will be sustainable because obviously I won't be taking a hit this week, right?
Yeah, and Jota will go up if he scores.
100%, and Gordon will fall as well because he's flagged. So, it's tricky.
That's a lot to think about, mate. I don't mind the idea of accommodating a Luton defender though with your lineup and getting money out of one of your defenders. I mean, you're not going to sell Trent. That was the other thing I looked at for you. Could you sell Trent?
I can't, man.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should. Yeah.
To be very honest, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I can just roll the transfer and just look at what is best for me next week. Who knows? I mean, I know it's not ideal, but someone like Gordon to Luis Diaz could happen. Solanke to Darwin could happen.
Mate, you'll be worrying about minutes for Luis Diaz, especially when Salah's back, like Darwin on the left. For that double, I don't know Luis Diaz is good for 2 starts.
But I think even irrespective of who I get out of Luis Diaz or Jota will go in 26 anyway.
True. You just need him for that double. You just need him for the double.
So it's fine. I don't think it's the end of the world.
Fine. There we go.
I'll only get him if, let's say, if he plays well this week. If he doesn't, then of course I won't, right? So we save this week and then we can sort of make another transfer this week. Yeah. Ideally, I want to do Solanke to Darwin, but the problem is it just almost certainly prices me and locks me out of Jota next week.
And you want it next week. You want to be flexible. You want to be reactive of what you see in 24. You want to be reactive of any team news. You want to be, because remember, Liverpool playing the early kickoff in 25. It's worth noting, I think.
Yeah, they are. That's right.
We'll answer a super chat. Thank you so much for your support, Mr. Con. And then we'll show my team before the end of the show. Hey, peeps, how important is De Bruyne for 25? I have to take out Watkins and Richarlison. I wouldn't be sacrificing those two to De Bruyne. I think Foden's a better value than De Bruyne at the moment. So just target Haaland, Foden, and then a City defender if you want the triple up. I'd go Walker. Our top 6 City Liverpool players, we actually did them in order about 20 minutes ago. We did our top 5s. Mine started, of course, with Haaland and Foden. Then I went to the Liverpool boys, Darwin and Jota. And then I ended at number 5 with De Bruyne. So
your third was Jota.
Top 5. Yeah, okay.
Your third was Jota. My third was Darwin.
With Darwin.
And my fourth was Trent. I mean, coming to this question, I just don't think De Bruyne is as important that you end up taking perfectly good players like Richarlison and Watkins. And I would not commit to that major surgery. I think it's perfectly fine going without and going for a City defender instead of De Bruyne.
Yeah, I'm the same. Guys, thank you so much for all your input in the chat and for hitting that like button. Have we got to 100 yet? I don't think we have. So do hit the like button. Let's have a quick look at my team. Oh, no, I don't think we're showing my team, which is great. It was good because if we were showing it would have been inaccurate because I was having a little bit of a WhatsApp blackout over the Monday, Tuesday period for obvious reasons. So the producer couldn't get my team.
Dude, I still distinctly remember you texting me before the deadline that you've benched Foden. And I was like, how is that even possible? How did you bring yourself to do this? I was very surprised, actually.
I was so reactive to that Liverpool double game week news. It threw me. And I was like, I definitely need Jota and Darwin. So I may as well buy Jota this. I was like, who's going to get more points this week? Pascal Gross or Jota? And I backed Jota, which was silly because the fixture for Gross was there. And and it would have given me another week's worth of digesting and information. And instead, yeah, if I hadn't have done that transfer, Foden was in the 11 and Gross was benched. But I did it, and Jota came into the 11. Good to see some positive messages, though. How do I even do a super chat, says British87? I don't know. I think you just click the little dollar sign in the chat, under the chat, and you can either become, on some channels, channel members by clicking the dollar sign, and some channels super chat. It depends if it's been opened, but super chats are open on this channel, so you can hit that and ask a question if you want. But look, British87, if you've got a question, hit us with your question now, and we'll try and answer it regardless of the super chat. But super chats are always very, very welcome, and it guarantees an answer. So, big man, we both got dilemmas this week. Mine's only really captaincy, and I'm going to be benching Palmer, which is so annoying.
Mine is the quite opposite. You're going to be benching Palmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, because
the others are like, you wouldn't even consider benching them. It's
of course.
City and Liverpool players and Watkins.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling you'll be swimming in points by this time next week. Your team is really well set up.
It has to be, mate. Do you know what? I wanted to tweet, but it looked a little bit like too positive or too. I wanted to say something on Monday, like, I've had the worst red arrow ever, but I'm actually really excited about how good my team looks.
I'm about to get the biggest green arrow ever.
Because I'm a couple of transfers ahead of a lot of people. Like, everyone now is scrabbling around to get double Liverpool attack or De Bruyne. I've got them all. I mean, I must add, I don't have Trent, but no one cares about defenders at the minute. But we probably should do. Trent could really hit me. So I'm a step ahead with a lot of players. But yeah, let's see. FPL Chai is watching us, by the way. He might come along on Friday lunchtime for a chat as well. So if you do want to join me and Dean on Friday, do let us know. Why is it you're not tweeting? I can't remember what that was for. Yeah, can't remember what that was for, Chai. But yeah, I've enjoyed our chat today, mate. Are you pretty confident on Haaland captain?
Yeah, I mean, my decisions are pretty much opposite to yours, because my team is locked in. My bench order is more or less locked in. I mean, Saliba versus Porro is not exactly a huge decision. It's something which I will just have a look at the odds, like 1 or 2 hours before the deadline, and end up deciding. But yeah, the main decision for me is going to be the transfer decision. I think a lot of it will come down to what happens tonight and of my transfer plans going forward. Because the thing is that why this decision is so important is not just because of what happens this week, but also because it sort of locks me into a path going forward as well.
That's the key.
I have to be on the money with it. I don't really want to get myself into a route which leads me to a train wreck.
I would be tempted, Doherty and Jota in. Let's just show Big Man's team very quickly. If you went Doherty and Jota in this week for a 4-point hit, could you bench boost? Let me just look at it. What your bench would be an Arsenal defender. No, you've got Taylor and Areola. No, okay, it's probably not bench boostable. I was thinking you would have Palmer on the bench and an Arsenal defender on the bench. But yeah, not worth bench boosting. But I do think that could be a solution. It means no Darwin though. But yeah, guys, do check out Big Man's team on Twitter. Guys, by the way, Bigman Bakar, I should give him a better intro at the start. He has finished where in India before? No, where in Pakistan? Number 1 in Pakistan.
Finished 4th in the world.
4th in the world, 1 in Pakistan. Yeah, you're up there, mate. Up there. Guys, I think we'll leave it at that. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you Friday lunchtime. I've been Gianni. He's been Big Man from a pub in Tewkesbury, England, West Country.
Good luck, everyone.
And good luck this game week. See you later.